Hi, good day, Lincoln family. Today, we'd like to talk about what are your aims in life, taking negativity and creating it into positivity. Matthew, how are you today?
Yes, very well, thank you. Looking forward to the chat. How's things at your end?
So far, so good. Let's take it every day lightly, one at a time.
Mhm. It's a good approach.
Thanks. So, like, what are your aims, in life per se?
Yeah, I think for me, given a lot of the things that I'm involved with, whether it be anti-bullying, mental health awareness, OCD awareness, male mental health, suicide prevention, these have all been born out of really negative experiences in the past. But for me, the way that I've helped myself to overcome some of these things is to kind of take those experiences and turn them into something that makes them things that I didn't have to suffer in vain. So when it comes to bullying, for example, like, there's people listening to this perhaps that have had experiences with being bullied before. And that's kind of obviously really hard at the time, but kind of the way that I'm channeling some of those experiences is actually to put that into kind of benefiting other people. So I think it's really important, as your kind of like tagline on the video there says, about taking negativity and really channeling that into positivity. I think that's the only way to be able to kind of overcome some of these things.
Okay, great. Um, as you mentioned, bullying, in our days growing up, going to school, it always had this bully, this one bully in the classroom. And when you think about it, back then in school days, this one bully, everyone used to afraid this person. And in that era, in that time, he was tender. He didn't really had much knowledge. He was not the type of person aggressive. And some people can't, get away from that bullying aspect. They even it have bullies in workplaces, and sometimes it could take a mental toll on someone. And I would like to see anyone bullying someone. And if you really check it out, when you check most of the bullies back then to now, they are not that person again. They maybe bully you at school days, but as they get older, it maybe turn around where someone now is bullying them. As I tell people, life is a cycle. What goes around comes around. So don't try to bully one person or bully many persons, in the past and expect now for you not to get bullied in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really true what you say about how bullying can come at all different walks of life and all different stages of life. Kind of when I was growing up, I kind of hoped that this was like some kind of, childish like deviation, and that everyone, when they got older, would be a lot kind of more morally upstanding. But I've had experiences within the last few years of being bullied. When I was doing a volunteering position, I was bullied out of there because of the mental health problems that I was experiencing at the time. I kind of went in one Friday, in all innocence, to be able to kind of do the tasks that I was doing for the charity on a voluntary basis, and overstormed the manager to kind of tell me that I had to do certain tasks that I told him that I couldn't do because of my mental health problem at that point in time. Because I was suffering really badly with OCD. I had an agreement with them that I do certain tasks, but on this day, this particular manager that was new stormed across and kind of told me that unless I did exactly what he told me to do, that I shouldn't bother to go in there, and that even if it was against my mental health condition, that I should be doing it anyway because he was telling me to, and it would help his targets. So I raised a complaint, and in response, again, this is where a slight element of naivety kicked in on my part, which was that I thought that when I complained to HR and the upper management that they would care about it, but they actually punished me for raising a complaint. They deleted all my pictures off social media. They deleted all the pictures of the witness off social media, and they banned us from ever going back again for raising a complaint. So it's true what you say. Bullying doesn't stop at the school gates, unfortunately. It's something that we have to come across throughout life. And that's why I'm so determined now to kind of raise awareness, to say that this is going on, to call it out, and to start to take some steps to be able to rectify this situation.
And I would like to even elaborate on that. I remember when I was going to school elementary days, this one guy, everyone had freedom. His name was Dagoon. That was his actual name. And he used to bully me many times, take my box lunch, take my money. And I was afraid of this guy because he was like the number one bully in the school. And my older brother, he had to come and rescue me because it's numerous times that I was being bullied, taking my lunch, taking my money, and it became ridiculous. And, at times I felt sad, I never really cried because I was a strong person from ever since growing up. But, it could have led to that depression stage, basically. And I was thankful to overcome that as time go by growing up. That same guy, he living in my community. So though that I left primary school, I always had to see him, if it's not every day, but ever so often. And him being living in the community, he grown to be a bigger bully in terms of bullying people in our neighborhood. And as I get older, I realized that this have to stop.
Mm.
And one day I was like, Dagon, here what? I'm not taking any more bully again. I'm not taking it. And I told him aggressively. He actually saw that aggression that he never saw in me from before. And thinking that that person was bullying you, he might have grand charged me to fight with me. But just seeing how serious I was when I was mentioning that to him, he basically stopped bullying me. Sad to say, today he come and he died. He was killed a gunshot from some guy. I don't know what was the situation, but it's just to show that sometimes a person could know how vexed you are and the rage that you in. That he may be telling himself, if it is now, he had rushed me to fight with me. I may have damaged him because the temper that he saw I had, he never saw that in me from before. I always was timid, always was like, look my lunch, look my school money, and he used to take it and go. But everything don't last for long. You have to realize that you have to be stronger, you have to be more confident, you have to be more aggressive. No one said to be disrespectful, but as time go by and as you grow older, that ability in you supposed to come out and show that you can be a person that you are not taking any nonsense from anyone. And I was glad to know to myself the point I was at being bullied, to the point I was back then to know that I actually gained that level of, that urgency to tell myself that I will not be bullied anymore.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really powerful story, and
Thanks.
I always think that you can't reason with unreasonable people. So if somebody's trying to bully you, then it's not a case of trying to rationalize with them. It's a case of trying to protect yourself and take the steps that are necessary to be able to live the life that you deserve, and to be free and to be content in what you do. And you can never rely on, in my experience, you can't rely on HR or upper management or anybody else, because everyone has their own vested interests. They don't want to be sued, or they want to back up their employee because they're more valuable to them than the volunteer, for example. So basically, it's got to come from you. It's got to come from your strength. You've got to have the inner character to kind of know where these people are coming from, to realize that they're trying to build themselves up by tearing you down, and resist anybody's ability to have that emotional impact on you. And my biggest advice to people would be, first of all, to document everything that you possibly can in a workplace setting, at least. That make sure that you've got evidence, make sure that when you have a conversation which might turn a certain way, that you have somebody there to witness it, or you have it recorded if that's legal in your area. Make sure that you're protecting yourself and that you kind of got everything backed up to show what you're saying and what you're alleging. But ultimately, the most important tool that you can have in your locker is to always have that lateral move and to realize that you're not beholden to anybody. You're not beholden to a particular company, a particular person, that you're a free spirit, that you've got a lot of value to add. So if it wasn't for that guy that bullied me on that day at Oxfam and tried
Mm-hmm.
to put me down and insulted my contribution and criticized me for wanting to cater for my mental health, if it wasn't for him, a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have set up the CEO Hub, of which I'm the CEO now. I wouldn't have built my following on LinkedIn. I wouldn't have the privilege of being able to call Ghislaine Daniel my co-founder at Dream Job CV. So that guy was a blessing in disguise. So no credit goes to him because he didn't realize that he would inflict so much positivity through his negative actions. But I've turned that precisely as we started out talking about today in terms of turning negativity into positivity. I managed to turn that situation around, and having come through that and having seen the worst side of how people can behave, I want to now use platforms like this to say to people, you don't have to put up with this. Be true to yourself, have a strong character, have a strong will to move forwards and to get the life that you deserve and not be knocked off track along the way.
That is so great. And as Galena
Yeah.
said, exactly, never try to reason with unreasonable people. That is so true. Never try to do that. And you mentioned integrity. Despite people might try to put you down, you always have to remain with that level of integrity. Because some people don't want the best for you. People say that you fight with people, but you do not fight with people. You fight with the spirit and the principalities of the universe. And this is something that we have to take in consideration. Not everyone might smile with you, might be your friend. For me in sales, when I go in before a prospect and the prospect is smiling at me and telling me nice things, it don't mean that I am getting the prospect consent to close a sale. It just means that the prospect maybe can be a polite person, and that is the expression that they give off, but it don't mean that they will buy from you. So don't mistake someone politeness and for the consent of you maybe purchasing your product or maybe recommending you to, let's say, a recruiter for a job or to a client. So, in a nutshell, remain and that level of integrity and always give gratitude to individuals despite the situation, despite the level of outcome, because I believe in doing the best output, giving the best, and creating that best version of yourself. And once you do that and everyone know you are the person, the go-to person for whether it be, let's say, a sector of HR, a sector of sales, they know that they can genuinely count on you because you have that level of integrity and you produce results. You are results oriented, and that's it simple in a nutshell.
Absolutely. And the way that I look at it is, in 5 years' time, what do I want to have done in terms of a contribution for the people around me? I want to help to eradicate bullying, or eradicate might not be the right way of looking at it. I want to make sure that people have the tools in their locker to be able to withstand bullying, because bullying will always exist,
Correct.
because negativity will always exist, bad people will always exist. So we're not going to eradicate bullying, but we are going to give people the tools to be able to stand up to that sort of behavior. So whether it's anti-bullying, whether it's raising awareness around mental health, male suicide prevention is something that I'm really heavily invested in. I look at those aims, and I look at my aims with dream job CV to help as many job seekers with Galena to realize their potential and to make sure that they don't end up stuck in a place like the one that I was volunteering at before, where I ended up succumbing to that level of abuse and bullying. That, you know, I want to make sure people have the potential to kind of move out of that in the way that I did and to kind of create the life that I wanted to do. So when I get up every morning, I go for a walk and I remind myself of those aims for the next 5 years of my life and what the perfect outcome would be in terms of helping other people. And then I break that down and I think, how do I structure today to make sure that that end can become a reality through the means that I put in place? And then everything that's thrown at you in the day can be seen as part of that prism. Like, you're not going to get yourself bogged down with people's negativity if you've got a clear aim out there at the end of the road that can allow you to kind of withstand all these kind of knocks and scrapes along the way. So when somebody's trying to tear you down today, ask yourself how convenient that is to your 5 year aim. And, you know, if it's not convenient to get into a scrape with them or to, you know, let it kind of be internalized or to bring yourself down, if it's counter to your aim, let it slide past and keep moving forwards.
I would say that from before, I was a very negative person. Like for example, I will go to an interview and tell myself, oh gosh, I'm so nervous. I don't think I'll get this opportunity. And speaking this out to the universe, you're putting a negative aspect in your life. And by I saying that now, at the end of the interview, I will be like, I sure I'm not getting this job. And then 2 weeks after, you will get a call that you did not get a job. People have to understand the words that come out of their mouth is powerful. In the beginning was the word, and God said that the power of a man's tongue is detrimental. That can be determine your life and death situation. So I will tell individuals out there to speak positivity in the universe. And anytime any person around you is negative, let them know that if it is you have to talk any negativity, do not call me back or do not talk to me. Take negativity and kick it out the back door. Do not have negativity in your life, because speaking positive things, affirmations, is so powerful. One of my powerful affirmation is that the Lord Jesus Christ is my strength and he will guide me and direct me into the path that he want me. And we have to have some affirmation in ourselves going forward daily to remind ourselves how powerful we are and what we worth, our value. Because some people feel that with this pandemic, life wouldn't be the same. This is just a storm. And a storm is something where it will pass. And after a storm is a calm. So don't feel that this will last for long. We have to understand that everything in life happens for a reason. And this life, I will tell people, is not the real life. This life is just a test. We have the other life, which is the more important life. And this life is God's king. This is the devil's kingdom. Where it is, we fighting against the spirituality and the principalities. So we as individuals have to be strong within our spirits. We have to get that internal peace, because success to me is failure, and failure until that you can gain that enthusiasm for that success that you're supposed to get. So don't feel that success is just that, you drive a nice car, you purchase a nice home, and that's it. Success to me is an internal happiness that you have inside of you. And we feel and feel in order to be successful. You can't just be successful today or tomorrow. The most successful people are the ones who feel, and then success came their way. Look at, for example, the KFC guy, Colonel Sanders. He made so many recipes and get so many turned down from companies, to implement his resume into their business. And it's only when it is he became an elderly man that his recipe was able to be, internationally renowned. And that, for to this day, that the KFC is still something that is so, it's global. It's like anywhere you can go and you can get KFC, right? So it's just to show that sometimes in life things may not happen the way or the time that we plan it, but as when God is ready first, then it is He now will guide us and show us that, here what, this is your time. So we have to grow and we have to fail and fail in order to succeed.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true. And that was really well said because, you really have got to. There's a great book called Fail Again, Fail Better. And the fail better part is the crucial part because what that means is that failure is a necessary precursor to success because ultimately, it literally is impossible to perform an action in the world and to have it succeed first time every time. You're going to have to put feelers out. You're going to have to try things. You're going to have to put yourself on the line, and the vast majority of it won't work. But it doesn't need to. Only some of it needs to work, and some of it will only work if you try things, you fail, you get the feedback, you feed that feedback into the next action, and so on and so on. And that's how we progress. And it, going back to what we were talking about before, some of it is even applicable to the worst possible moments that you could have experienced in life. So I personally, in 2016, when I was suffering badly with my mental health, I had a 4-month period of agoraphobia. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't even go to the garden sometimes. That might not seem like a positive experience, and it wasn't. It was like the most horrendous experience that I could have had. But now I'm using that, and I'm like, well, I went through that, but there was no point going through that if I wasn't going to use it for something. And what I'm using it for is to highlight that people suffer from this, and that male mental health is a thing, and that men should feel able to articulate their problems, and that male suicide is kind of like the hidden pandemic of our times. So you can take what is the worst possible experience and really drive that into an aim for the future. It kind of makes those horrible experiences seem somewhat worthwhile. And to go back to what you were saying before about Jesus, for example, even if you weren't a Christian, you can look at the Jesus narrative and you can see that what you have is somebody that suffered the lowest possible death, was betrayed, tortured, denied. So it's kind of like the archetypal worst treatment that you could suffer at the hands of other people. But yet we're still kind of talking about Jesus' name today, and it was a life still that was worth living, and it kind of goes above and beyond anything that happened in terms of suffering. It was kind of a justifiable, voluntarily taking on of the most worst aspects of humanity and channeling that into something positive and eternal. So if you can take something, like a brutal death and torture and friends betraying you and people mocking you as you die, and you take that and you run with it and you voluntarily walk into it because you realize the benefit that it's going to have for people forevermore, then we can easily turn our bullies or our mental health problems or the bullying at work or that setback in life into something positive, because people like Jesus have been there before and done it on the ultimate macro level. So it's kind of a great call to action for us to at least attempt to do that in our own lives.
That is so true. And in terms of the greatest book of all, I will say is the Bible. Some people may disagree, but everybody have their own opinion. Why is the greatest book of all? The Bible is a book, is a spiritual book. If it is you are reading the book in human form, you wouldn't understand the Bible. That's why it have so many, audio files, YouTube, where you can learn about the Bible, because not everyone will read the Bible and understand the Bible. You may read the Bible, I may read the Bible, or other person will read the Bible and have different interpretations. You know, As Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the five people that you're spending most time with. And if you are spending your time with individuals who bully people, you will become a bully. If you spend your time with people who looking for positivity, you will be positive. If you spend time with people who is reading the Bible, you will eventually get to understand the Bible. So you see the necessity for positivity, and positivity brings growth into our lives. And we have to know what we want in our lives. What is my aim? What is your aim? My aim, I will say, I want to make a difference. My career is sales. I am motivated, and that is something that I want to show people that I can be results oriented to their organization. To me, sales is about psychology, selling, understanding the human mind, understanding a person, their body mannerism, when to present a product or service to them, when not to. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to get at is that you have to understand the people that you are surrounding yourself with, whether it fits you or it don't fit you. You will know if they are negative by certain things they say, by the body mannerism that they give off, and you will know if you want to spend your time with these individuals. That is the only way that you can bring growth to yourself. Matthew, I must say I appreciate knowing you and doing these linking lives with you because I see myself as networking with you and we share the same interests in mind. And I would say that, you know, having individuals like yourself and other individuals, all of us can grow together and never try to leave someone at the wayside. Always try to lift someone, and each person grows with each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it kind of goes back to what you said before about, we can't simply define success in terms of what car we drive or kind of the bank balance and all the rest of it. Obviously, you want to be comfortable and you want to create a life for yourself. But a big part of that is to make sure that you can obviously help other people along the way. So obviously, Galena and I at Dream Job CV, for example, what gets us out of bed on a morning is the thought that by the end of the day we can help people into work. We can really harness their skills. We can portray them in the best possible way. We can kind of take somebody with raw talent and attributes and package that together in the way that would lend itself to employment and their success. Um, so it's not just about doing something for the sake of it or for the money or for the paycheck. It's kind of, you want to make that life for yourself, but you also want to do something along the way that's helping people up the ladder as well. And it's such a big motivator because at the end of the day, we're born into this human existence. We've got like a fairly blank canvas. You can either drift or you can set an aim and you can make it as pertinent as it can possibly be. So for me, when I look at the next 5 years, I think to myself, I want to give people the tools to overcome bullying. I want to raise awareness about mental health. I have struggled with OCD all my life and it's really misunderstood. I want people to be able to understand that. I want to help with preventing male suicide. I want to help as many job seekers as possible to realize their potential. That gets me out of bed and it helps me to channel what's positive and what's negative and what is nourishing and what is draining. And if you set an aim in life, things no longer become objects, they become tools. And you can start to classify something, whether it's helpful or not helpful. If you don't have an aim, you can't classify things that happen along the way because you don't have a means of recourse to be able to decide whether something is helpful or a hindrance. But if you set an aim, like helping as many job seekers as possible, when somebody comes along to try and knock you off that course, if you don't have that aim, you might be sucked into that. But if you've got that tunnel vision on your aim, you can start to differentiate between people and objects in terms of how useful or not they are to that aim. So it's so true what you say in terms of what's fulfilling and what we should be aiming for. Like it's such a hollow existence that if you're aiming for a certain bank balance or car alone, like when you get there, you'll be left with an empty feeling because if you haven't got the capacity to experience nature or friendship or love or compassion or some of these higher order things that kind of God calls us to be, then we're going to be left with a very hollow existence. And it doesn't really mean much to me to be successful in a vacuum. Like, I want to be successful, but I want to be successful in a way that makes other people successful. Because at the end of the day, we're all interdependent. And, we just had International Women's Day. It doesn't make much sense to say, I'm a man, I don't care about female issues, because you should care anyway, but at the same time, we're all interdependent. If a woman's suffering, I'm suffering. If I'm suffering, a woman's suffering. We're all interdependent, and we really must kind of live life on that basis.
And what is the biggest gift? To me, the biggest gift is to give.
Mm,
God gave his only begotten son. When I say give, it shouldn't be just about financial. It could be, giving a friend a referral to a recruiter to obtain a job. And the aim should be for us to give, to make the world a better place, to change, to bring back that humanity. And when we give, we receive, right? Is not a big of an equation. It's simple. Some people want to give and receive at the same time, which cannot take place. You may give today, but you may not receive until a year after. God, do not forget what it is that we are doing for other people. The best thing to me is to do good for people so that that people could give something great for other people. So in that way now, everyone is feeling good and you bring back that humanity in our lives. Why should we give? Some people ask, because I did not receive anything. You give from the heart. And when you give from the heart now, you have a joy. Because when I give, I feel a sense of joy that I'm doing something good. Some people have different mindsets. Their mind is totally, to me, if it is you give and you not wanting, you give today, and then now you tell yourself that I do not want to, give someone else again. Something is wrong with your mind because why you should not give someone when it is now, that person is of need. As simple as when someone send me a connection request, I give back by saying, thanks for the connection request. How are you? Because I know that person don't necessarily have to send me that request. So I'm thanking that person because that connection that we're going to build here now could be a genuine and long lasting connection. So I give thanks for that. Some people feel that they shouldn't give thanks for that, but you can never tell. I would always go with this quote: live every day like your last, because you can never tell tomorrow is not promised. Before I leave home, you kiss your wife, you kiss your child, because you're not sure if you can see them again. Do not have any malice for anyone, or do not treat anyone with anger, because some people tend to be in a mood today, and it's because of their circumstance or their situation, they're in that mood. They don't necessarily trying to be have a malice against you. It's just that their situation, they do not want to maybe explode on you, so their body mannerism give off a negativity towards you. So we as individuals have to understand that and learn people that way. The human psychology studying should be implemented. And all this is things that we can implement in our lives so that we can be directed to the right path. Sometimes you want to know why this person is thinking different from the other person. Some people may say you need therapy, but you do not need therapy. It's just that you watching something in a different aspect to someone else. And I would say the best therapy is to sit down and read different books. When you read different books, you get to understand, how people think, how things supposed to function. That's why they recommend to read at least one or two books for a week or for a month, because information is not the key. It's applied information in your life is the key. So you obtain information and you apply it in such a way that you treat people kindly and you give gratitude towards individuals, and not because they do something for you that you should be polite to them, but just naturally be that person who is politeful, who is kind. It serves so much, and it could bring back humanity in such a way that it can be better for all of us. Like right now, yes, we know we are the pandemic, we facing that global issue in terms of financial, in terms of job opportunities. But let's say you don't even interact with this person, but you see this person open for work. It's nothing now. If it is a recruiter send you a vacancy, you can send to that person and say, hey, I see that your profile have open to work. So I decided to send you this because when I do check your profile, I realize that the sector that have the vacancies, the same sector that you are looking for or you was in previously in terms of job experience. So don't wait for someone to reach out to you to ask for advice. Sometimes it's good just to reach out to that person, and when we do that and live so, our whole life will be so much better. Some people just be like, how things not going good with me? I'm trying to develop myself. I'm trying to take in as much information and everything. But it's the way that you treat other people, the man above seeing that and realizing that I cannot give you this. You cannot do that. So sometimes we have to check ourselves, recheck yourself, and know to yourself that you is the cause. It's not the condition, it's your decision.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really powerful. And I just spotted a comment from one of our guests as well that's kind of referred to kind of sending those personalized notes and having a grateful heart. And it's so true because at the end of the day, people don't have to form a connection or support your content or whatever else it is. So when people do something for you, you know, it's never a small thing. Um, as Galena's kind of added there about gratitude being the foundation of happiness, like
Happiness.
it's so true. Like
Constantly, yeah.
we can't just bank the things that other people do for us, because if we start to take those things for granted, people will recognize that, and we can't reasonably expect to kind of get back what we don't give out. And we need to make sure that we are grateful for everything that people do for us. And we don't have to expect something back. And as you say, like if somebody is in a negative place or they're looking for work, there's every benefit to them and every benefit to you in being kind of grateful for what they're offering and trying to help them. And I'm constantly kind of setting up three-way conversations. If somebody can stand to benefit from somebody else, you can introduce people. You can say, person X, meet person Y, because I think you've both got a synergy and you're helping people to help themselves and to help the wider world. And that doesn't have to come back on you in terms of some kind of benefit. Like if I empower somebody to go out into the world and help somebody that I might never meet, and still connected with that person that's getting that help, we've both got that spark of divinity within inside us. Like we're still connected. Like it still makes me feel better when another human being is not suffering. Like it doesn't have to be my suffering for it to cause pain for me. If another human being is suffering, then I'm suffering. So
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be a self-interested thing. Like we need to just go out into the world and add as much value as we can to the people around us, because it's just totally an end in and of itself.
And I would say, you see, directors on the whole, and especially on LinkedIn, seeing that they are the leaders, this is a message that I'm saying to you all. If I'm in a position where I can assist people, I will assist. If I was a director, I would have been in a position that if someone reaches out to me, I will reach back out to them. I'm not in that position, but I could still do some great work because we don't have to be in a position in order to help people. And we have a lot of directors on LinkedIn and even directors who are not on LinkedIn who are supposed to be leaders and who are not setting a good leadership. They're not guiding, you know, individuals and even potential candidates as to how to maybe go about maybe, for example, obtaining opportunity or even trying to assist as to how I can reach that success ladder that what you are in. You know, a leader, some people feel that you are a manager, you are a leader. No. Sometimes you just hold the title, but you do not know or do not have the capabilities to be a leader. And most people on LinkedIn platform who are engaging is people who may be trying to reach that director role or reach that, heights in that company that way they can maybe add value, more value, and actually show people the way how we should reach that success ladder that they would like to. And directors are not seeing that. I'm sorry to say, but the leadership is very poor. Some directors do even post on LinkedIn. They just have the position director of whatever company, and they might post once a month, twice a month. Yes, you may be in um your sphere, you maybe reach to the point that, all right, I'm a director and I feel that I do not need to maybe engage in people posts or do not need to put out content. But no, you have to bring value. You have to tell people, your story. How did you reach to that position? Help people. When you're in those kind of positions, you are the ones that people are looking up to and want to reach that position. But when you are being, not saying anything and just there, how people will know, the path they should take to reach that point. So this is to the directors, get up and engage. Yes, you're in that position, right? You may say that you do not need to do anything anymore, but no, you have to reach out there and show people how to reach to the position that you at. And that is something, it is even disturbing to me to see that so many people trying to reach that position and they in that position and they're not assisting.
Yeah, I don't say this to brag, but kind of all my posts come in the top 1% of engagement. So there's quite a lot of comments underneath, and I'll always take the time to respond to each one personally because, even if somebody has only taken a few seconds to comment, like they've taken a few seconds out of their day to kind of comment on my post. And, even if there's quite a few comments there, like I'll take the time to make sure that I reply to everybody, thank them, show that I'm grateful. And people don't always do that. I see people that have got quite a big following, they'll post and then they'll just kind of like leave all the comments sat there and they kind of, it suggests to me they're not really taking people's time as seriously as they should.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but, if I put out a post and it comes in the top 1% of engagement, I don't see all the comments and think, well, I can't be bothered to engage with those. Like I think to myself, each individual person has taken the time to kind of get to know who I am. They've looked at my content, they've read my content, they've commented, they've thought about what I've said. So having shown up to somebody else on all those different dimensions and having had them show that kind of effort and support on all those different dimensions, I want to make sure that I then show up for them back. And you know what? It doesn't matter that everything doesn't have to give you like, an extra bit of cash in the bank. Like every time you reply to a
Mm-hmm.
comment or every time that you reply to a DM or every time you support somebody's post, it's not making you an overnight millionaire, but it is making you a grateful person and it is building your network and it is allowing you to dig that well before you get thirsty. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just that incremental change and it's pushing you forward and it's pulling other people up with you, which to me is a very satisfying thing.
Correct. And to me, LinkedIn is all about networking. And if you're on LinkedIn, just to show your status symbol, that's not making any sense. It's not making any sense. LinkedIn is supposed to be a platform that you engage in the audience, you support in each one post, and when you do that and add in value, some person can just come just so and say, Matthew, I have a contract work for you for a year. We have been following you for the past 6 months, and we saw the tremendous work in terms of the content that you produce, the engagement, the lovely feedbacks that you put on people posts, because people are watching us, and it have headhunters, recruiters are watching us, and they just ain't make their decision as yet, but they're watching us on a consistent basis. And when they are ready, they will make their decision. So that's why we have to know what we are posting, what we are talking about. But I just say that I like to post things that what is trending, what comes from the heart. I do not try to post something that I might see somewhere and decide to maybe imitate it or copy somebody post. I post in things that what I feel that people should need to hear, what I feel people should need to do, should implement in terms of to better themselves or maybe to better their career aspect also. So engagement is everything. Yes, you might be posting, but if you are not engaging in other people post, how would you say to yourself that you are providing value?
Mm,
I saw that for myself that some people are posting, but they are not engaging. So if you are not engaging and you are posting, how will your engagement go up? How will you want people to maybe like your post or whatever the case is? But to me, it's all about putting out relevant content. It's not about, to know that you get all this following, to know that you get all this likes. Once you know to yourself that you adding value, that is the most important thing. Once I know it touch one person mind or heart, I am thankful.
mm, yeah, absolutely. And the key that I really took out of what you said there was about adding value. And, if you add value in life to other people and you add value to people's pain points and inhibitions and you help people to realize their potential, the rest will come for you. Like, you don't have to, like, the money and everything and the life that you want will take care of itself, because if you're adding value to people, people will show gratitude for that, and they'll want to kind of come back for more, and they'll want to keep getting that value that you're adding to them. So add value, and the rest will come. Post things that are going to genuinely help people's lives, network effectively. Galena and I have actually got a networking webinar coming up that we're running with a affiliate of ours, and the reason why we've decided to hone in on this is precisely because networking is so important, but yet so undervalued. You've got to build those
Mhm.
relationships. You've got to be a giver. You've got to set up conversations for people. You've got to help people on their way. So, to anyone kind of on LinkedIn that is that has got an aim and is wanting to kind of build towards that, kind of don't get disheartened because every individual action doesn't lead to that aim immediately. Every individual conversation or post support is a vital brick in that foundation to build that kind of temple in life that you're aiming for. And it might be slow, but at the same time, we've got time. Like, we've got time to build, we've got time to grow, we've got time to help people. We're born and into this world, we've got a blank canvas, we might as well start to build something with it.
Yes. And to me, in closing, all I would like to say is that success is something that you do not pursue, it's what you attract. And once it is, you put out the relevant content and you add value, you will attract individuals who will want to do business with you, or clients, I should say. So, in closing, I don't know if you have anything to say, Matthew.
Yeah, I just say to sum up that kind of what I want to really get across to people that have been watching. Obviously, thank you for everybody that has tuned in. Obviously, to practice what we preach. We're really grateful for your time in coming by. We don't take that for granted, and it's a privilege to have a platform like this where we can encourage people to really follow their aims. And to anybody watching that might have that source of pain, that source of upset, that source of untapped potential. I know it's not easy because I've been there, but try to think about how you can channel that experience into the benefit of the people around you, because it will be a great healer for you as well to be able to have an aim to overcome that. So, with that being said, obviously, thank you to you, Antonio, as well for the platform and the time, and thank you for everybody else again for tuning in. And we'll keep the conversation going. And I look forward to many more conversations hereafter and into the future.
You're welcome, Matthew, and thank you for your time. And it was great having this discussion with you. And yes, in the future, we will have many more conversations because in this life, people need motivation. We know that the world is changing. It's changing for good. Don't feel it's a bad. And people, just keep the faith and know that faith is a substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. Know that here, what you might go interview today, tell yourself that you are getting the opportunity. Go to the shopping mall, buy your shirt, your pants, or your skirt, and know to yourself that that job is yours. And once you have that faith, though you did not see the contract or sign the contract as yet, know that that job is yours. Thank you.